Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to GT3. Back for another weekend stream. And we are just a seemingly endless championship. This is our third time doing this. But we are still in the middle of the Clifton Digital Championship. But hopefully this will be the final stint. We only have 3 races to do, but I'm pretty sure these are the 3 longest races coming up. Yeah, I'm 10 minutes late because I was eating breakfast and enjoying my coffee. I figured instead of chugging the coffee, let's try to actually enjoy it for a bit. Because I'm going to be driving for a bit. Gotta make it last, you know? Alright, I'm starting the timer. Let's get right into it. So, hello everybody. Sorry for keeping y'all waiting, but we're back to do another round. And I haven't played this game since last week. So yeah, first thing, 311, 20 laps. Pretty sure this is the longest race in the championship, so it's again 45 minutes. Right? You making breakfast right now? Cool. Cool. Good news is we already clinched the championship, so win, but you know, I want to get this race done ASAP. I didn't even check the tire strategy, but we're just running, you know, our usual slicks. Probably go on a 1 or maybe even a 2-step, we'll see. Hopefully you guys had a good week. I had a bit of a chaotic week because I had to take my exam on Tuesday, and then I also took some days off at the end of the week, so I'm on like a mini break from the work grind. And just trying to clear my brain of studying. But surprisingly, it's the first time I've played GT since then. However, I do think that I can finally start bringing back weeknight streams. Yeah, it goes. I'm trying to balance, you know, doing some of the real life stuff that I had to cut back on before I get straight back into gaming all the time because the weather's nicer. So you got prom tomorrow? Oh, money? Nice. Always a fun time. I liked my prom. You got a date for tomorrow, or are you just hanging with friends? Either's cool. You just gotta enjoy yourself. And what's up, F8? I'm doing alright. Pretty tired because I had to take an exam on Tuesday. And I'm still recovering from that. Thanks, Mohammed. I have to wait 2 months until I see my results, so it's gonna be a long wait. But then that will decide if I get more money, which is always nice. Oops. That's like my first huge blunder of this series. Yeah, 2.5 minute lap there. 20 laps, you do the math. It's a long race. Maybe like almost 50 minutes. Oh yeah. You got plenty of time. Was the first thing to do when I was 18. Now, is that a question for me? Is that telling me to make a suggestion? more for suggestion. I would say you can go to an R-rated movie when you're 17. I don't know. I'd still argue that you get a little bit more freedom when you're 18, but you still can't do the really awesome stuff until you're 21. And even then, it's just like the only thing you get is being able to go to clubs, bars, and have a drink. I'm gonna do like with the Win Single Race Series. I'll see how long this takes. If it takes more than 2 hours to get through these final 3 races, not sure I'll go through it because it'll be like another 30 minutes. But if not, you know, we could start that next week. It's not a huge deal. Oops. I was reading chat instead of doing the driving. I'm just sloppy today. So yeah, minimum drinking age is 18, but gambling is 21. Except you can just play CSGO and buy crypto and stuff like that. There's no age limit for crypto, is there? I don't believe there is. And that's basically modern gambling. Well, crypto haters are having a good week this week because crypto market got absolutely blasted. Especially if you were a Luna holder. I have no sympathy for that though. And it's funny is that people on Twitter are still saying like, you're gonna be a millionaire, as if they didn't lose 99.9% of its entire value in the span of a week. The drinking age is any age if you're sneaky enough. Babies when they die at 20 years old because they can't drink. They've had no water or milk. For real though, like once you turn 18, like honestly it's not much different from when you were 17, because you can still drive a car, you still have pretty much the freedom to go wherever you want. It's usually when you're 18 you just get out of high school, so you either go to college where you have a lot more freedom, or you don't go to college and you still have a lot more freedom because you know, usually get a job or something and you start making money. So most people go one of those two routes, and that's kind of more where the freedom comes in. And like, yeah, you can go to an R-rated movie or a strip club or something like that, but honestly it's not even like, it's not even a huge deal. An R-rated movie is just an R-rated movie. They play those on TV all the time anyway. And, you know, 18-year-olds will always find access to alcohol. They got fake IDs and older siblings and negligent, you know, fridge access, whatever you want to call it. Go to a college party when you're 18. You can drink. You just, you know, might get busted by the cops, but it's not even that big of a deal. Well, at least not at the college I went to. Yeah, you can have access to, you know, any food when you're 18 pretty much. Nothing off the top of my head is restricted at 21. But yeah, the fun part about being 18, or just being an adult in general, is you kind of have the own independence to, oh, you never tried this restaurant before. You can just go there, and that's that. When am I gonna stream Horizon 5? I just haven't. Like I said, my computer is like really sluggish with just playing Horizon 5, and then streaming it, I haven't even figured out what I'm gonna do about that, because streaming on the same computer as your gaming, you need to have a lot of, you know, free space, not free space, but like, you know, you gotta have CPU space, and your graphics card can't be taken up all the way. Which, for me playing a, you know, not graphically intense game, or streaming a PS2 game or something, that's no problem. But Horizon 5 is probably the most graphically intense game on my computer, and it is slugging. So I haven't figured out what I want to do with the stream for that. I haven't, but right now it actually makes more sense if I were to get a Series S and just play it and stream like how I play Gran Turismo. Can you save championship progress to GT4? You sure can. You absolutely can. It works slightly different to GT3 in that you could like back out and go, you know, back to the home garage and all that, but you can't access dealerships or change parts or change cars or, you know, enter any other races. You can basically only go home, save, and then that's it. I think Horizon 5 is better than GT7. In many ways it is. I will say, like, the car list is better. And I can't really speak much to the Academy because I haven't, like, spent too much time with Horizon 5. But they just absolutely blast you with cars, and aside from a select few that are hard to get, which is kind of equivalent to the legendary dealership of GT7, you know, they're pretty good about it. And then also, you know, there's the whole open world versus sim track racing, and that's a whole different question. But Forza open world is as good as it's always been. But GT's always handled its single race approach pretty well. So I'd say those aren't comparable. I will say that the GT7 appreciates car culture more. And car history especially. And that's one of the best things about GT is it is kind of like a tribute to the automobile. Don't mean to sound out fancy, but that's quite literally what the creators put it as. You're basically playing a giant history class. I would say GT7 is... I see the parallels to GT3 for sure. The only thing like I don't see is there's not like repeated events in the same ways like GT3 is. Because GT3 structure is, you know, you got 5 leagues of races and you just kind of do the championships in whatever order you want. I still think GT7's cafe menu book system is probably the strangest decision in game design. Well, sugar is pretty addictive, just saying, F8. Sugar is highly addictive. If you were to eat donuts every single day, you'd die of heart disease. If you were to have beers and liquors every single day, you'd die of kidney failure, liver failure. The whole key is moderation for everything. If you drink a glass of wine, it's not going to kill you. If you have one beer, it's not going to kill you. If you have one donut, it's not going to kill you. If you have 20 beers, that's a problem. If you eat a dozen donuts in one sitting, that's a problem. But, you know, I'm not a nutritionist, but kind of common sense in that way. What is my favorite weird but great car in the GT series? Ooh, I gotta think about this one. Because, like, what classifies as weird but great? Like, when I was younger, I always liked the Chaparral 2J. As the concept of a fan car, and it was like, you know, Can-Am car kind of. The sound it made, it was always, like, strange, and it looked so obscure, but it was fast and it was cool. But that might not be the definition for everyone. I'd say the 2J, the Chaparral 2J, was pretty cool. That one's in GT7. Those old Mercedes carriages from the 1800s are pretty cool, although, you know, they aren't really usable. The suck car. The big suck car. That Auto Union V16 Type C Streamline, whatever it's called, that car from like the 30s, the 1930s. That has like no lights or anything, it's just a flat thing. I think that's a pretty cool car, even if it was like, you know, a death machine that killed all its drivers. What's up, Mita? Yeah, here's the kind of unfortunate thing is that fan cars were banned because they were too good. Like, there was a fan car in Formula 1 that only entered one race, it won, and it was immediately banned. Never to see the technology again. And then other fan cars are just died in obscurity. But it's like, why hasn't anybody... Okay, you can't enter in Formula 1. Why hasn't anybody created a fan car racing series? You know, even like that, if you go back to GT5, the Red Bull X 2010 is designed based on the fan car philosophy. And that's why it produces so much downforce or something. Yes, sugar is really addictive. It is ultra addictive. Look it up. They taught us that in health class in high school too. Sugar is overloaded in so many food products, and you know, you're only supposed to have like a certain amount, like I think it's like 28 grams of sugar or something like that a day, and usually that is exhausted in one part of one meal. Natural sugars count as sugar. I think if it's like something from like an apple or something, it doesn't count. I think what they mean is like the granulated sugar or stuff like corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup. Yeah, the Gordon Murray T50, the McLaren F1 reimagining, I think that is also a fan car. The whole key with the sugar is added sugar. That was it. You'll see if you look at the nutrition facts on the box of some foods, you'll see like there's an added sugars category. And that's the sugar that's, you know, super addictive. And the reason it's there is because it makes the food taste good. Like, if you remember from science class, I forget what year of high school they teach you this, but it's like sugars and like glucose, right? And glucose is just a natural component of some foods. So like for instance, an apple has natural sugars because that's just how it's grown. You don't add anything to it. It's just part of it. But the apple's natural sugar works similarly to regular sugar in that it'll give you, a burst of energy. But obviously apples are pretty damn good for you. And it's what humans have survived off of for thousands of years. Again, it all comes back to moderation. Like, you just gotta pay attention to if a food has added sugar or high fructose corn syrup or just an excessive amount of sugar, even if it's not added. You just pay attention to that. And just like what I said about like alcohol or junk food, just moderation. Don't overdo it. And as long as, you balance your food out. You could eat something like fried chicken or a burger as long as you, also have your fruits, veggies, your regular good food. You get all your protein, your carbs in the right amount. Complement it with exercise, and you're good to go. My tires are still fine, but it's lap 10, so I'm not sure if I should pit just because. But it looks like we're going to need to make a stop anyway, so I'll just do a 50-50 split. Sugar time. Which GT game would I 100% over and over again? That's a tricky question because doing that for anything will take forever. So that's the thing. I think the shortest game is either GT1 or GT6. But even that takes a quite considerable amount of time. I'm not sure. I would say GT is not the type of game to be 100% over and over like a speedrun. Because there's just so many different ways you can do a playthrough. You've been slacking on running. I'm not really a runner. I prefer taking long walks, or if I'm doing a cardio machine, an elliptical. But there's multiple ways you can do it. Everyone has their preferences. Just in summary, just don't do too much of anything really. You do too much, it's usually not good. Even if you do like too much water. If you drink too much water, you feel sick. So it doesn't mean don't drink water, it just means don't overdo it. And you can apply that to everything. Which kind of makes sense, right? Every part of your body kind of needs breaks from doing constant everything. Think of like a machine. If you were having it run 100% of the time without letting it cool off, it would probably break faster. And you could think of that as like your organs. And yeah, obviously our bodies are running 100% of the time, but you know, just don't give it too much of anything. If it isn't existential crisis time. See, in terms of GT4, and I keep saying this, like, I really, really do want to do a playthrough. Oh, I just lost my TV signal. Okay, it's back. That was really strange. Looks like I didn't lose my video feed. That's the second time that's happened in this playthrough. At least this isn't a super intense, like, race or something. Maybe my component cable's busted or something. I don't know. But yeah, in terms of GT4, I do really want to play through it. It's just such a long game that I don't think I could do a 100% playthrough of it. What I can do though is do a stream where I'm grinding licenses, do a stream where like I'm going through the early championships, do some streams where I'm just buying cars and just running with them. But in terms of going for full progression, that's a big ask, I think. Especially directly after GT3. GT4 is a pretty long game. Immediately the next game we're going to play through is Burnout 3. But that's not that long of a game. That one is not that long. Under 20 hours, I'd imagine. It's taken a year to 100% GT4. I reckon it would take 3 years. Or sorry, it's taken a year to 100% GT3 almost. I would say it's going to take like 3 years to 100% GT4. At that point, you would just call me a Gran Turismo YouTuber then, because I've literally been pretty much posting GT for like 99% of the last year. Which for me, I don't mind. But I know I promised when I left Asphalt that I would do like more racing stuff in general. So, yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll do our Burnout 3 grind, and then maybe I'll do a Need for Speed game. One could be Hot Pursuit 2. That was always my favorite when I was growing up. We did Most Wanted 4 years ago, so that's already checked off the list, although I gotta show you guys my retro pickups at some point. So how many years would it take to 100% GT5? If I streamed all of it, like 10 years. Because I mean, technically on my original save, I have one race left to 100%. To get like true 100%. Which is the Nürburgring 24 Hours A spec. I just haven't gotten to doing it yet. I haven't played GT5 since I got the Platinum Trophy after doing 24 Hours Le Mans. The thing is with GT5, it's grinding to level 40 to get the final races. That takes so long. It would be incredibly boring to stream if I'm being perfectly honest. But all the non-grinding parts of GT5, and if you just do, let's say, A-Spec, that could be condensed in about 150 to 200 hours. So I'd say that'd take like a year or two. But if you want to go for true 100%, you have to do both A-Spec and B-Spec, and you have to do the grinding for those two, which B-Spec especially takes forever to grind, because the servers are gone. If the online servers were back, it would be a shorter game, but they're not. So you have to deal with what we have, and what we have doesn't pay that much. Yeah, Hot Pursuit 2 I think I would come back to. I haven't given that game a proper crack in, I'd say like 10 years. You know, I brought that game to college and, you know, I played with it with my friends just for fun. It's like chasing each other in cop cars and stuff like that. Always a fun time, but I haven't like done the career mode since I was a little kid. Try Need for Speed Carbon? Yeah, rip the Carbon playthrough. We started Need for Speed Carbon in 2019, I want to say. Yeah, 2019. I did one part and just never came back to it. Yeah, GT3 A-Spec's a good game. Where's B-Spec? Yeah, I think doing random streams of GT4 would be pretty fun. I will say, once we finish this game, I think I'll be open to like opening up my channel to do a lot more stuff. It's like Burnout 3 is not really a game where you got to grind and knock out a bunch of stuff. Burnout 3 works in that there's like 60 race events and like 60 crash events, and that's that. You just do them. I don't even know how I would structure uploading the parts on YouTube. But it's whatever. Yeah, GT5 I think was a great game. It's just a lot of people were impatient with the delays, and then the changes they did make weren't popular. Like, I do agree that the level XP system was probably not right for the series. It didn't need it. I see why it works in an online space, but the thing is they restricted some cars to level caps, and after like level 24 it just becomes a mammoth of a grind, because the only cars you can't buy after that level are the Red Bull cars. The difference between A-Spec and B-Spec is really simple. In A-Spec, you're driving the car. In B-Spec, you have an AI computer drive the car. So, you know, whatever floats your boat. If you want to fulfill your racing manager fantasy, you can do B-Spec your whole playthrough. And that's okay. But, in my opinion, which I think most people would agree, actually driving the car is more fun. So, you know, it's whatever your own personal preference is. Some races are actually really hard to win with B-Spec, because the B-Spec driver is kind of trash at the game. So you need to always give them overpowered cars, and sometimes those overpowered cars B-Spec driver can't handle, and then sometimes the AI are also like as good as the overpowered. Like, you can't overtune a car. Up fastest lap, we got 209. I thought the lap was kind of scrappy. Yeah, this race, despite being pretty long, is kind of flying by, because I think I'm enjoying this chat. So thank you guys for that. We bumped the wall. That was a good start of the lap. They didn't actually drop dead, but in the last F1 race, Mick and Seb crashed in like the final laps. Specifically, Mick went for a dive bomb in turn 1, and Vettel wasn't expecting it, so they both collided, and were both out. And they were both in the points. Especially Mick was like sitting in P9, so he could have gotten points. His first points. And now he's got to wait quite a bit longer. But yeah, that was painful because literally Seb is Mick's mentor. And he crashed into him on a kind of boneheaded dive bomb. Another 209. I messed up the chicane in the middle. Well, not the chicane, but the corner right before the chicane. We just skimmed the wall, but I didn't lose too much time. What's my all-time favorite Lamborghini car? I'd say the Diablo SV. On just pure nostalgia. Are we finally lapping the car? So what's the most heard rumor about a game being released? I don't know what you mean by that. GTA 6 is kind of the biggest running gag in the gaming world because of how much people are hyping something that's got like no information about it. Excuse me, Lancer. Punch it, and I think that'll be a new fastest lap. That felt like a pretty good lap. Oh, we gotta see. Not a 207, but we skipped the whole second. Pretty good. Also, 3 laps to go. Something tells me this is not going to be fastest lap. It might have been done the GT4 wrap, I don't know. Although 4GTs are, you know, incredibly rare, and probably a lot of people who own them keep them stock. Maybe one day a collector who played GT4 is gonna pick one up and then do a wrap. Need for Speed High Stakes, yep. Oh, ever going to play it? Like a playthrough? I don't know. I've never done a full playthrough of High Stakes. Ever in my life. I've always just kind of played it and then like never got far in the progression because personally I don't really like the controls of the game. That's a game where its controls haven't really aged well, but I think it's more so an issue I have with the PS1 controller rather than its physics per se. I don't know. Well, actually I do know. So, back then, even with GT3, the default controls have you pushing down the X button, which is like the A button, but you hold down X to drive and press square to brake. And for me, that was terrible. Like, I loved it when I was a kid, but as I got older, and by older I mean like 10, my thumbs would genuinely start to hurt if I, you know, drove for more than an hour. But, you know, right when I was getting to age 10, that was when like the whole use the triggers to drive became popular. And controllers started getting designed with a trigger in mind. And that is so much better. It is so much better. I could drive all day with that control scheme. So every game that allows me to switch, even like the PS2, which doesn't have triggers, it's just a button, it is still more comfortable than using the X button. Every game that lets me switch the controls to R2 and L2 to drive, like this game, totally up my alley, and I could do this all day and drive with, you know, pretty good consistency and precision throughout. As I say, my controller dies, okay. I think I just messed with the wire back the wrong way. Oops, oh well. This controller's giving out on me. I've had this controller for over 10 years now. I bought it like brand new in like 2012. And I've tried to baby it all the way, but you know, if you put enough hours into the controller, it has its limits. I mean, thankfully I was able to find another DualShock 2 in good condition only a few months ago. Or by a few months ago I mean last month, for like $20, and I scooped that up and it's sitting right there. So when this controller dies, you know, I'll switch to the other DualShock I got. Because this one still works, you just gotta be careful not to bend the wires in an awkward way. If I was in like a esports competition, I probably wouldn't use this controller, but for like this, it's fine. Yeah, I haven't like seriously played High Stakes, but I thought also, you know, like the physics haven't aged that well. I mean, most retro games, to be honest, don't have good physics. Like even Hot Pursuit 2, I remember when I played it a couple years ago with my friends, like it was just really hard to figure out. I feel like game developers didn't really figure out physics until like 2004, 2005. And even then there's still some games that just behave like trash. I'd say literally like only the old Gran Turismos have good, well-aged controls. Like if you play GT1, GT2, they genuinely have good controls. And then GT3, GT4 are just, oof, they're so good. 10 out of 10 still. When you get to GT5 and GT6, that's where you start bringing in the wheel discussion. But these games were like peak controller times. It's so good. Anyway, finally clear Route 11 in under 45 minutes. So there you go. And I didn't really lap that many cars. I only lapped the 2 Lancers. So I'll just close it at that then. Turns championship standings. Look at that, the Mustang and the Skyline are tied with 2 rounds to go. That's gonna be spicy. And honestly, the Lancers still have stuff to play for. 2 races, that could flip. Let's keep going. Well, rotary cars are pretty uncommon still. It's literally just Mazdas that use them. And yeah, you know, if you look at the Mazda 77V's like racing history, it was praised for like, you know, being so reliable, but the truth is a rotary car shouldn't have done that well. It's just Mazda designed their engine brilliantly on that car. And also, the other cars were unreliable. The reason the 787V won was because the faster cars blew up and had to nurse problems. So the 787V, despite not being the fastest at all, but just ran smoothly, just won the race on just consistency. Big dive bomb for the Lancer. Totally takes the Mustang out of commission. But does Mazda even produce rotary cars anymore? Like, do they still make the RX-8s? I don't think so. Nice sunset. I don't know why, but the RX-7 looks really good in this sunset environment. The blue just like pops out more. It looks kind of cartoony in a way. If you ever like played the game Auto Modelista, whatever it's called, it's like that cartoony driving game. This RX-7 looks pretty similar to that art style from some light angles. The 370Z is, the 350Z is faster in a straight line. He actually goes for the repass. Look at that. Yeah, like I said at the start of the stream, the last 3 races of this championship are the longest ones. Saved the worst for last. I mean, F8, we literally just answered that question. I mean, they aren't bombs in the car in terms of like they won't like constantly blow up and blow up and blow up. But you know, you'll have a better time with a inline 4 than you will with a rotary. This is also going to be 45 minutes. These lap times are just as long as Route 11. Starting to get settled in with this car. Just making sure I'm not getting dive bombed. Yeah, California is extremely expensive to live in. I forget if it's number 1 or number 2 on the most expensive state to live in, with the other one being New York, specifically New York City. But, you know, if you're a San Francisco resident, you know, you're dealing with $5,000 a month rents, which is never good. And that $5,000 a month isn't a mansion, it's a freaking box studio apartment. And it's kind of similar with New York City too. But, you know, I haven't been to California in 3 years, but everything is so much more expensive than Chicago, which even Chicago, city Chicago, it's pricier than the suburbs, but it's not California level. Oh yeah, that's right, Hawaii's expensive because they have to import everything. When you import stuff, it raises the price. Yeah, Chicago has pretty high taxes. We have like a 10% tax on like literally everything, and then like some tax like I think it's a sugar tax, alcohol's another tax added to it. Property taxes are high. Income tax. pretty significant. It's all like pretty painful. I mean, I'll take it from me, like, I'm trying to save up for my own place, but it's pretty tricky to time it right because I'm seeing rents go up like crazy, and I don't think renting is a good idea for me. It just makes more sense to save up a bit longer and wait for the market to get better. Interesting turn right there. But it's tricky. Looks like the housing market's going up higher than I could save, which isn't sustainable for one person. But yeah, I remember going to California and it being like, in 2019 by the way, like $25 for dinner. Even like Denny's was like $15. The only thing that I found was actually cheap was In-N-Out Burger. I tried that and it was actually pretty cheap. I don't know if it's still like that 3 years later, but everything's gone up in price. Yeah, Illinois is like one of the most corrupt states too, because we just cannot budget correctly. I don't mean to talk super politics, but you know. Illinois gets so much money and then we just never fix some fundamental issues, which yeah, there's millions of people in Chicago, there's a lot to fix, but you know, you have to start somewhere and there's not enough being done. There's always construction going on, and there's always like bridges and railways and stuff that are poorly maintained. The transportation, the trains are kind of gross if you take them at the wrong time. Like if you take the CTA, it can be kind of sketchy at certain times. And then like you always have to like watch out if you're going exploring in the city. And then trying to get by with a car can also be tricky if you're trying to park somewhere that isn't the suburbs. So yeah. Congratulations, you just figured out that politics is pretty muddy business. It kind of sucks because, like, as me, a gamer, I can't really do much about it besides vote for people. But it's so tricky to have trust in anybody these days. And then what does change is doesn't seem to make us go backwards. It's really sad. Do you get what I mean? I shouldn't have to really explain, but if you know what I mean, you know. I've never been to Connecticut. I've never been to the Bronx. I've only ever been to New York for that ESL tournament, and that was in Brooklyn. I want to travel more. I just haven't had that many chances yet. Grand Valley race is dragging on already. Well, I think both New York City and San Francisco are ridiculously expensive. Like, if you go look up rents on apartments.com, it will make you, like, literally want to cry because it is so bad. And you must think, like, okay, the reason rents are so expensive is because the jobs there are so good and they pay a lot. But that's only half of the story. And the thing is, like, for every person that has a high-paying tech job, there's like 20 people who don't, and they're working at minimum wage jobs, and they still have to deal with ridiculously high rent. And that's like the true fallacy. It's unfortunate. And it's like that in, honestly, most cities. It's just the biggest difference in like San Francisco and New York City. But in those places, literally, like, you only need, well, not only need, you need a high-paying tech job to make it out there and have some form of savings. New York is not $2K a month unless you're talking about a box on the street. Three years ago, when I was looking at doing an internship in Boston, rents were like $3,500 a month, and that's Boston. It's not too far away from New York City. Last week's F1 race, it was okay. It went better than I thought, but I don't know. The track's missing something. I think they need to redo the track surface, like, and properly look at it, and that would make the racing better. And then they need to get rid of the awkward chicane. I'm gonna do a two-stopper. So hey, Freedom, long time no see. Worst part is the higher salaries in those cities don't make up for the higher rent. They really don't. You know, again, I'll take it from my experience, but I work as an actuary, and full disclosure, that's like one of those jobs that, you know, allows you to, you know, make a good living. But if I were to actually live in the city, rents are like $2,500 a month minimum for good areas. And then if you want to get any place cheaper, you have to, you know, go pretty far out from the city, or you have to move to more dangerous areas or unclean buildings, or, you know, it's just stuff you have to compromise on. So for me personally, the best option is actually just still living with my parents, because I'm already like fully established here. I know my neighborhood off the back of my hand, and, you know, I'm not too far away from a train station, so I could still get to Chicago relatively easily. Just as easily if I were to live in a neighborhood with, you know, maybe only 2,000 rents, but still, you know, 15-20 minutes from a train and having to commute 45 minutes to work. It doesn't make sense. And I'm an actuary. I was someone who was not an actuary. That'd be a much harder decision to make, and not everybody has the luxury of just staying with their parents. It's pretty sad. I do want to move out. I really do. And I've been saving, but I've been paying attention to the house market for 6 months now, and it is not getting any better. Yeah, that's really good for you. I have quite a few college friends who got jobs in areas that don't have much going on, but they have that company there, and they're perfectly content. And then they could buy a house for only like $100,000, which I'm super jealous of. But, you know, they're happy with it. I'm happy for them. It's a trade-off. I grew up in the Chicago area where there's always a lot going on, so trying to skip back to a lower cost of living area is a little tricky for me. It would be a lot to get used to. I mean, maybe I could do that as an option. But then, in that respect, I still think the best move is to wait for the housing market to get a bit better. Because right now, it's just kind of screwy for everything. It's just in low-cost areas. It still looks okay because it hasn't beaten that threshold yet. But if we see a dip, everything will dip. My hope is to move out next year, but, you know, that's being optimistic. And a year is still a long time. It's not a long time, and it is a long time at the same time. And the other thing that doesn't hit at first is, you know, even if you make like a year's salary, it takes a year to get that year's salary. And it builds up slowly. It's a long process. So, it's a little bit difficult to stomach. But then again, I've done this for 1 year already, so I could do another year. What's up, Ainsane? Welcome back. Man, we just got to the halfway point. We're 21 minutes in. It really feels like a lot longer of a trek than Route 11, despite it being actually a little bit shorter. How'd my exam go? So I'm done with it. It went better than last time. This was my second attempt at Mass 1. And I felt a lot more comfortable this time. I still had to skip a couple questions. Well, a couple, I mean like 9 out of 45. But the way Mass's scoring system works is if you answer a question incorrectly, you lose half a point. And the number of points required to pass is like 55% of the available points. So it's like kind of playing a puzzle in a way. Of like, what are you comfortable answering and what are you not? So I felt pretty good. Basically what that means is like you need to answer around 28 questions correctly to pass. I answered 36, and I was pretty confident about most of them, so I'm hoping that's enough. But I gotta wait 6 to 8 weeks to figure that out. But I genuinely forgot what it was like to not study. Because I've done a study session literally every day since like mid-January. And I genuinely forgot what it's like to not study, where it's like I get off work, I'm like, oh, I don't have to study for 2 hours. That's pretty nice. Yes, you're better off straight up not answering them. Because there's 5 answer choices, and, you know, if you're genuinely stuck, if you guess, you have an 80% chance of losing half a point. But if you don't guess, you don't lose anything. If you don't answer, you don't lose any points. And if you get a question right, you earn 2 points. So, you know, it's all about being careful with your guesses. If you can like do process of elimination and bring it down to like a 50-50, you could absolutely guess, and that's what I did. I was 50-50 on a couple questions, and I went with an educated guess. And I was willing to risk those points. Because for every guess you get right, it takes 4 wrong answers to undo that. So with that in mind, you know, you're better off guessing than not guessing in those ways, if you can get a 50-50. Yeah, it's a math question, right? Or a gambler's rune question. So, F8, yes, how my college friends are doing. They actually are graduating right now, and I'm not watching it. So, when I mentioned last week that I wasn't sure if I was going to stream, that was because I wasn't sure if I was traveling to Peoria. And I didn't end up doing that, just because of busy reasons. We're just going to hang out over here at home where everyone's at. So, Mohammed, this is for the actuarial field, which, if you know what that is, it's basically a combination of math, finance, risk, economics. So like, for instance, my job as an actuary, I'm an analyst. I work for an insurance broker where we basically calculate costs for insurance companies to do the insurance placements, if you have no idea what any of that meant. Basically, think of like, if you need a car insurance policy, think of an insurance company getting its own insurance policy to cover its risk. That's a very, very, very simple way to put it. But basically, I do the math for those transactions. And in order to get certified, you have to take a series of exams to get professionally certified. There's 10 exams, and they are all super difficult. They take, you know, around 300, 400 hours to study for each. Passing them means you get closer to your credential, and you usually get financial incentives from work. So like raises and bonuses. And some of the tests, really only the early ones, the material's covered in college, but then once you get past a certain point, you kind of have to self-study and read source materials. So it just becomes increasingly difficult. Every exam, when you're taking it, feels like the hardest thing ever. So it's just really painful at times. But the rewards are great. And actuaries are pretty well paid. They won't make the, you know, the billionaire CEO status. Not impossible, but not likely. But then actuaries have traditionally a really good work-life balance, still really good pay, and they have long, stable careers. And essentially where I'm at in my career is I've been working for 1 year. I have 3 of the 10 exams passed. I just took my 4th one this week, a few days ago, and I don't find out my result until 2 months from now. And basically, if I pass, get a little bit of extra cash, and I just have to start working on the next one. And if I fail, I just have to take it again. Sucks, but that's just part of the grind. Sorry for completely ignoring Royalkin. So you just did A-Spec 24 hours Le Mans. Nice. Yeah, that race is pretty easy with the X2010 because you can like park for 6 hours. And yeah, the Nürburgring 4 hours, I only did that a few times because I retroactively had XP from the online servers, but yeah, that's the best XP per hour. It sounds like heavy stuff. It is. I mean, the way to make sense of it is, you know, in order to get the good salaries, you have to work hard one way or another. For engineers, they have rigorous undergrad work, and then when they actually go to their jobs, they have to do some pretty complicated stuff. They might have to move to places they aren't comfortable with, but then they get paid really well. For an actuary, their undergraduate program, most of the difficulties in the math courses, but if you're good at math, it's not that bad. But then the grind begins when you're taking exams and trying to balance your life. It's kind of a trade-off. But the whole key is, since it's hard to get fully certified, that's why the compensation's good. I'm salaried as an actuary. I'm not waged. And here's the thing. Salary and wage are sort of the same thing if you do 40 hours. It doesn't really change that much. In fact, if you're salaried, you aren't eligible for overtime or something like that, and you get a yearly bonus. But, for instance, in my case, I have to wait until March to get a bonus. And from now, March is a long time. Salary only means that you're paid by the 2-week period and not by the hour. Like if I were to make an hourly wage, if I were to do 50 hours instead of 40, I'd get 50 hours plus some overtime premium. But if I were to do a salary job, I'd get paid the same if I did 30 hours, 40 hours, or 50 hours. But it pays you for the equivalent of 40 hours of work, if that makes sense. But yeah, if you like math, and you're good with computers, and you're sort of interested in like finance and economics and stuff, and you're okay with taking exams outside of college, then by all means, actuary is probably a good idea. The one nice thing about actuarial is you don't have to go into graduate school, like engineers might. So in a way, the exam process is kind of like grad school, but it's on your own pace. Well, if you want the short answer, it's don't live in California. But, obviously that's not ideal for anybody who's native there. Economics is a really tricky concept. It's a really hard problem to solve, because there's no good answer for every single party. So Firm, I don't know if you're still here, but if you are, how you been? It's been forever since I've had you on a stream. But we're just chilling today. You're probably all done with your semester, right? So it's probably really chill right now. Loop hitting one more time. When's my next exam? 6 months from now. Once you get to a certain point, which is after the third exam, the exams are only offered twice a year. In May and in October. So, I got a bit of time. Usually it takes about 4 months to study from when you start to when you actually take the exam, if you pace yourself. So, I think after the 4th of July weekend is when I'll start again, which isn't really that much time. It's only like 6 weeks of freedom, but it is what it is. You're moving in a week to start your ship. Oh, that's fun. That's nice. Are you trying like a brand new city? Like, have you ever been there? Because in 2020, I had an internship lined up where I was supposed to move to Arizona for the summer, but then pandemic happened and I had to do remote. But I had never been to Arizona before that point, so it would have been a completely different experience. That's just a tangent. But have you been to this area? I think it would be pretty fun to move away. It's sort of like moving to a new college again. Exciting. Well, if it has an exam center, at least there's something going on. That seems pretty good, though. I mean, you'll meet a bunch of people at your internship. Either your work friends or just people who are just around. And it'll be a great time. I think you'll like it. Alright, 3 laps to go. I haven't really kept up with the asphalt trends, but how is the game doing? Because, I don't know, I still get pings about like, oh, they're doing club stuff or whatever, but I haven't really kept track of like, how's it doing. It's been a year since I've left now, and I don't know. I've heard it's getting better. But I don't know, I just remember asphalt events always were like in swings. Sometimes you had a good update, sometimes not. Yeah, I know, sorry to bring it up. I'm the one who brought it up this week. But I'm not really in the loop anymore. Yeah, that's what I've heard, the Club Clash. It's pretty popular. Yeah. I still think it was like right for myself to leave. I think I left at a good time. I enjoyed the journey there, but I still think if I were to ever come back, I could use my garage that I currently had last year. and still have a great time. Well, as good as the time they let you have, but I think you're sticking around for your channel. So yeah, that's what I was like in early 2021 and part of 2020. But yeah, it's in a philosophical way. It's hard to give up on something that's like granted you so much, like success. Because like I was doing so well when I had Asphalt 8 on the channel. Then Asphalt 9 I was doing alright. And now I always get comments that are like, oh, come back, you know, you aren't doing well. And it's like, I disagree with that. Sure, I don't get views or as many subscribers, but I enjoy myself more playing these other games. And then, you know, for me it's not about the YouTube money, because obviously I make a lot more money at my real job. That's not my motivation these days. It's more so just, can I have a good time with what I do on the channel? Which I think I'm having a pretty good time here, you know, playing classic games and chatting with a smaller audience, but it's still an audience. One thing I didn't like about when I was like streaming to 150 plus viewers was messages would fly by, and you know, sometimes I wouldn't answer everybody, and I'd see people get kind of angry, and it's like, you know, there's physical limits to, can you keep track of everything on the screen? Can you still play the game at a high level? Because remember, I was, you know, trying to still be competitive. And then can you still try to entertain 150 plus people? It's kind of a big ask. But when I'm chatting to, you know, 10, 15, 20 people, even 5 people, or 2, it's a lot more conversational. In my opinion, it's a better way of interacting with your chat. Plus, if you're clout chasing, like, just on a separate note, people put targets on your back, and it's really annoying to deal with. You do everything right, and then, you know, you'll start to brew communities of people either against you, or people who will try to, like, troll, or just puts a bigger target on your back. I'm not saying like, oh, because I made a mistake, I don't deserve something. That's not what I mean. But it's like, look at somebody like Pokimane. You know, Mr. I have a lot of people, you know, put a target on her back. People flame it on Twitter, Reddit, all the time, because she's successful, and let's be real, because she's a woman. But it's really sad that that happens like that, and that's just something that naturally happens when you become popular. And it's not just like Pokimane, it's male streamers too. It's just, you know, if you become popular, you get a lot more attention on you, and it's in a way a curse to deal with. So in a way, I don't mind if my channel is not in limelight and I'm only broadcasting to a few people. Not because I'm a bad person or anything like that, but it's just easier to manage. I can still have my regular life and not worry about, oh, is some guy trying to stalk me or something like that in real life. You still miss messages. I still miss messages now, yeah, because I'm trying to drive. I mean, I will be honest, is that sometimes I do read messages and I just don't respond to them. For, could be any reason, literally. But I do try to read everything. And the good news is, like, you know, if I have a screen and I miss the message, I can go back and view, even if it's minutes ago. You know, still read the message. So have I ever been recognized in real life from YouTube? Well, sort of. Sort of. Actually, yes. Yes, I have. When I did the commentary at E3 2019 in New York City, when we were setting up the tech, you know, some people were starting to, you know, fill the grandstands early. And while I was like reading a script or something like that, um, there was like 2 people from the grandstands that called my name called Hot Dog. So I went to go chat with them. They recognized me. And they even messaged me on Discord saying like, hey, that was me in the stands back there. You did great, you know. So like that was the only ever time. But I don't know if you'd really count that in public because, you know, that was an event where it's like it was advertised I'd be there. But that's still really cool. Yeah, should that really count? I mean, it wasn't after the broadcast. It was before the broadcast. And then the only other time that's happened was at my college. There was one person who recognized what I was. And I won't reveal their identity. But they are also a pretty well-known asphalt player, and it was just pure coincidence that we went to the exact same college. But I don't know if that really counts. But yes, I am still good friends with this person in real life. Yeah, I'll tell you later if you're in. But yes. But again, that's not really getting recognized in public. I don't know if you'd count that. But yeah, no, I've never like gone to Chipotle and like the cashier's like, oh dude, I watch your videos. It's not like that. I mean, that sounds pretty funny if that ever were to happen. But usually if I'm ever recognized, it's because like it was either someone I knew from high school or like one of my brother's friends or whatever who's like working at Starbucks or something like that. And it's not like, oh, you're Hot Dog, it's, oh, you're Lucas. You don't see Firm's messages? I don't know what's up with that. So old supercars used to have shifters with sticks to gear. I mean, that's just because paddle shifters are faster. Now, nowadays these cars have dual clutches, they're automatic, you don't miss shifts, it's just more reliable, faster, and easier. And if easier makes a car faster, then that's the way. It takes a little bit away from the overall driving experience, but it's still pretty good. Yeah, YouTube's tricky. I saw that YouTube is demoing gift subs similar to like what Twitch does. Like, you know how like you can join a YouTube channel, which is the same thing as like a Twitch paid subscription. Now you can, similar to Twitch, do a gift membership. I don't know if my channel has this enabled, but I saw that they're demoing that. I hope they improve YouTube more. I think YouTube streaming has been a good platform. It's just been behind Twitch. It doesn't have, you know, the emote support. Copyright's still really busted. I didn't check, but you know how there was like the issue with like the Spyro sound check in my videos? So they took the album off of Spotify and all the services, but I don't know if they removed the copyright claims. I literally just saw that the gifting stuff was being demoed like 3 days ago. I think it might be just a beta for some YouTubers. I haven't kept track of it. But I know that's something that's happening. YouTube needs to bring like a Twitch Prime level thing where you get like a free sub. That genuinely helps content creators. Okay, well thankfully this race is under 2 minutes a lap, so this will be less than 40 minutes. Oh, Google One does that? I didn't know that. Or is that a request? What happened to the Z? He like had a bad corner or something. Because now all of a sudden I'm about to pass him. Alright, here we go. See if I get a slipstream. Yeah, I have a Z in the garage that I got from the IB license. Don't remember if I ever drove it. But yeah, it's been the star competitor of this series. Which is weird. I wouldn't expect it to beat like the R33 Skyline. But it's just good. I think the other opponents you can get are like a Corvette Z06, which is really fast but has a terrible pit strategy. Like a Supra. All their like regular cars. I haven't done a ton of research on this championship, but it's there. Z makes the outside pass. Now we're using regular slicks. I see, so the Z went heavily into the wall there, and that's slowing him down. We've done almost 500 miles in this championship, by the way. If you look on the bottom right, our mileage counter is 460. We just might hit 500 in this race. If it wasn't for GT Sport, do I think GT7 would have been worth $70 graphic-wise? I mean, I think it still is. It's just GT Sport is a beautiful-looking game, and there's not way too much to improve on, if I'm being perfectly honest. The game looks beautiful. We're at this point in graphics where games look almost photorealistic. Almost, and in some cases it is photorealistic. If you look at Gran Turismo Escapes mode, some of those pictures genuinely look like real life. And replay shots and stuff. We are kind of at a plateau point. And nowadays in modern graphics, it's all about speeding up load times, better frame rates, more textures, sure. But, you know, take it like Gran Turismo 5. The grass blades are still like an image file, whereas in GT Sport now they use actual individual blades of grass. So that's a lot to do. And then sometimes the backgrounds have a lot more detail, but you look at like a fake crowd shot, you know, in Gran Turismo 7, it still looks kind of fake, and I get, you know, why put so much detail on like models that you barely look at unless you're going for the replays. Which makes sense. Most of the graphics should be on the car. But you know, those are areas of improvement. Like, I'm so far ahead of the Z, I forget if he pitted. Bad corner. Hope with that realistic airback. Focus on content. I don't know, everyone's going the money route. We've had this conversation over and over, but it's clear that the graphics are selling the game at first, and then the money is made on the poor content maps. Right, I'm gonna pause the game. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. So I will be right back in a minute. I'm back. But yeah, game companies are fully, you know, make the graphics look good with a highly CGI'd trailer, do all that marketing jazz, promise, you know, stuff, under-deliver, release a bunch of bugs, set up a battle pass to get consistent player counts, and then say, you know, look, the game did well because 3 months later we still have like 100,000 players or whatever. But those games die fast. Look at Halo Infinite right now. That game was super, super hyped when it came out. And nobody talks about it anymore. It's only been like 6 months. What happened? What happened? We'll let the modders fix it. But the thing is, the modders can't even get to the PS5 level games yet. The modders are just now fixing PS3 games. And fixing is a pretty loose term considering all the hoops you have to jump for to actually get to those fixes. The PS2 modding scene is also just taking off right now. And unless you're in the PC game market, which yeah, modders get to a lot faster, it still sucks. But you have to have unofficial patches and private servers just to make the game playable. It is ridiculous in some ways. Yeah. Oh man. Just getting done with lap 8. There's a game that is unfinished. It's getting a movie. What are you talking about? I know that the Mario movie's coming out like next year, right? It got delayed. Poppy Playtime. That's getting a movie. I haven't looked at that game at all. It just seems like to me like the next Five Nights at Freddy's. You know, trendy horror game that kids like. That will get run to the ground in due time. Yeah. Yeah, that's my reaction weekly. Like, really? Like, why does it need to happen? Doesn't. The Bored Ape movie. The Bored Ape Yacht Club movie. I don't know, NFT market had a huge dive bomb in the last couple weeks. Yeah, you haven't seen that on Twitter? It's been like for a few months. Like we had like there was like an animated short, and I used the term animated real loosely here, of a Bored Ape TV series. I'll put it. It goes about as well as you'd expect. And there's like a movie that they'll make. It's quite ridiculous. Yeah, the Mario movie has been known for like half a year now, right? Chris Pratt, Mario. It's weird because it's got like a huge celebrity cast of the characters, and it's like nobody even knows what is gonna happen with this movie. It's made by the people who made the Minions movies, so I have no faith in it doing well. Well, it'll do well in the box office because it's gonna absolutely print money, but as an actual movie, I think it's gonna completely flop. That was your introduction to NFTs. Nice. Outlast should have a movie. I've never actually played Outlast. I think I have it on PlayStation because it was like free 1 month and I just never got to it. Alright, so let's pit. This will be our last pit stop of this championship. Criticism nightmare. Is that like a scene where like the Bored Ape has a nightmare that he's getting criticized? Like that's what I take of it. Like it just seems like it was written by some edgy 13-year-old who just sunk like his $100 birthday check into meme coin, lost 90% of it, and is still trying to like cope with it. Yeah, it is that. That is so freaking stupid. You know how was it Square Enix who sold like so many IPs, including I think Final Fantasy, right? Just to do NFTs. That is probably the most down bad thing I have ever seen a publisher do. Like, it's one thing selling your properties for money or because you can't develop them anymore, but to sell it to do... They didn't sell Final Fantasy. Was it Deus Ex? I don't know, I thought they sold a pretty big IP to do NFTs. NFTs is why YouTube bans got taken down. I still have it on my phone. I will use it until it is literally dead. I will hold that thing on life support until it dies in my arms. Deus Ex and Tomb Raider, that's right. But yeah, fans did NFTs of a YouTube piracy app because they thought that was a good idea. You know what I don't get about the NFT crowd? They seem like it is perfectly acceptable to like directly copyright infringe on everything. Just make it an NFT. Like, they're doing dead YouTubers and already existing artwork and stealing art and stuff like that. And I think it's perfectly acceptable for some reason, even though it's like, you know, blatant copyright abuse. Like, there was... You guys remember the Floydies coin? I don't know if you ever saw this, but there was a... I'm not going to joke here. A George Floyd NFT lineup. Great timing on that joining Cheese Fart. With the name, too. What's up, Cheese Fart? But yes, I'm not kidding. That was a real NFT minting. Yeah, that's the best way to put it, F8. Bruh. And obviously none of it was ever approved by family or anything like that. It was just some trolls just trying to take advantage of a disgusting... They're just absolutely terrible. The people who created that. Just taking advantage of a terrible situation, trying to make money off of it and generate hype off of it. Not cool, bro. It's terrible. That's what I just do not get. And then people will dump their life savings on that stuff. They'll be like, oh my god, this is going to be worth so much. I'm going to make $1 billion off of this. Bye, 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 bye. Whatever happened to those Asphalt NFTs? Are they worth anything now? Those Drive Syndicate NFTs? I genuinely want to know. I'm not a crypto bro at all, so I don't know anything about the NFT markets in like specific cases. I am genuinely curious if the Asphalt NFTs are worth anything these days. Because it's only like less than 6 months since they released them. Alfa Romeo NFTs. Red Bull and Mercedes F1 both do NFTs. Aston Martin did an NFT drop. Like, Pierre Gasly did his own personal NFT drop. Everyone's doing NFTs. And it's because it generates fake money. It's all kind of pump and dumps. It's ridiculous. Like, I think it's like 90%, 80 or 90% of the grid, so 8 or 9 teams of the 10 have a crypto sponsorship. And like a huge crypto sponsorship. It's like the new cigarettes and tobacco sponsorship. You know, I bought concert tickets a few days ago. I'm gonna go see The Offspring next weekend. They're a good rock band, but kind of old, but it's gonna be a good show. Okay, regardless though, when I bought the tickets, they gave me a NFT of the ticket. They call it a digital commemorative token. Whatever. It's an NFT of the freaking tickets. And it's like, dude, who cares about the ticket to see a 30-year-old band play in Chicago on a tour? Who cares about the crypto for that? It's one thing if you have a ticket stub to like their first show, but like, I don't know, they haven't been relevant in that many years. But, yeah, I bought tickets, and with the ticket purchase, they gave an NFT. I didn't even open it. And I'm not going to. Because I really don't care. I just want the ticket so I can, go to the show and watch the concert. I really don't care about the NFT part of it. What's that supposed to be? You're part of the family now. Am I a crypto bro? Or is that literally like offspring? You're part of the family. Someone could mint a Suzuki Meiron NFT because people are copyright infringing already. So, you could just might as well do that and just put it out there, see if anyone buys it. I think the other thing is the NFT market is so saturated that, like, if you genuinely have a good idea for digital art, it's just among a sea of just thousands and millions and millions and millions of other people's artwork attempts. And it's only ever when a celebrity backs a crypto is when it takes off. It's kind of stupid. Yeah, the blockchain doesn't lie. It's on the blockchain. You're gonna screenshot me and sell my image for 23 schmeckles. You posted cringe. I have blockchain evidence. It's on the blockchain. Ratio plus L plus you fell off plus young boy better plus you have no friends plus maidenless. Mustang just goes straight into a well. Its natural habitat. It sees a crowd all along the line. It's like, ooh, breakfast. That's the whole thing I don't get about crypto people, is let's say you put $20,000 or something ridiculous. Let's say you put your life savings into a crypto coin, and let's say it does go up to, like, let's say 50 grand. Your $20,000 is now worth 50 grand. But what people do is they keep their money in that crypto, but still buy a house or a Lambo or whatever. And then when that crypto goes back down to like $10,000, all of a sudden they're sitting at a bunch of debt. And they can't cash out to pay that debt. It's ridiculous. Like, you gotta count your chickens before they hatch. If your crypto's worth a lot, you gotta get out of there, and you need to see the cash in your hand in order for you to, actually make those kind of decisions. And even if you get your cash in hand, you gotta make sure you have enough to pay capital gains tax or any other fees that might have come up from you doing the crypto trade. But what crypto people just can't seem to get around is like, well, what their argument is that the crypto is the currency and that they can use the crypto to buy stuff. But it's like, no, if you want to buy a house, I mean, unless you're trying to make a headline from like that Florida thing, you gotta buy the house with cash. I guarantee you that house in Florida that was a Bitcoin only sale, I guarantee you right now they won't take Bitcoin because it's worth half as what it was. I wish the housing market did that. I wish a $300,000 house just snapped in a week to $150,000 just from, you know, because crypto. That would be cool. Hey, I wish houses were priced like Luna Coin so that they fell from, you know, $113 to like 100,000th of a cent. That would be great. But no, it doesn't work like that because it's still not a true like currency. I feel like crypto people have kind of missed the definition of what makes a currency, what makes money. They'll love to use terms like fiat money and they're printing, inflation, and yet completely fail to recognize that their currency is going through a very similar, if not identical, process. But since it's not backed by, you know, any good intentions really, doesn't have a whole government trying to keep it afloat, just has some dudes in a basement in some other country. It's like, congratulations, you can buy pornography with your crypto. Big advance, right? Maybe you can order Domino's with your crypto. But then like crypto bros on Twitter will fall for like the stupidest phishing scams ever and just give all their money and all their passwords to just some random kid who will just transfer it to their own account. And they'll be like, someone stole my crypto. Well, it's like, it's the internet. It's the Wild West. You got scammed like it was 2003. And yet a lot of these crypto bros are like, you know, double my age. They were there when the internet was in its infancy, and they've fallen for the exact same thing over and over and over again. Well, that's what drives me crazy. It's like, you hit the nail on the head. It's a lot of crypto bros are just middle-aged people who have a bit of life savings trying to make an extra buck, and it's like, you know, they were there when the internet was in its infancy, where everyone was phishing scams and there was viruses and, you know, pseudonames online, and it's like, you've forgotten all that in 20 years? I get 20 years is a long time, but like, really? Like, you fall for a phishing scam? If you go on Twitter and type in something like MetaMask, you'll get like 1,000 bots sending you phishing links. Or if you type SA, or, you know, some obscure crypto, you'll always get bots shilling for it. If you say lost your crypto wallet, you'll get 1,000 bots saying it. Hell, it probably is going to trigger someone in the YouTube chat to bot in some links. It makes no sense. Final lap, here we go. Morbius crypto inbound. Morbius, #1 movie in existence. When am I gonna do another night stream? I might do one this week. I was planning on hanging out with some friends sometime during the week, but if that falls through, I'll do a night stream. I don't have to study for a bit, so I can actually have that free time back. I didn't do a night stream this week because I was just trying to recover from my exam, and I took Thursday and Friday off, so I was kind of out the whole days, and I was just tired when I got back. But, you know, I'll let you guys know on Discord. Jumped in the Clan Wars. Was GT3 my first GT? It was actually Gran Turismo 2. You know, I can't tell you exactly, but I believe it was Gran Turismo 2. The story goes, my parents tell me, is my first ever game was Spyro the Dragon. My first racing game was Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit. And, you know, when my memory spawned in, I had both GT2 and GT3. We had a PS1 and a PS2 at home. I just had both games. But since the PS1 was already there, like my parents already had PS1 games, I'm assuming I played GT2 first. So that's what I'm just going to put at it. I don't know. My parents have photo evidence of me playing those games when I was really, really little. But, you know, you don't spawn in your memory till like 3 or 4 years old. I remember when GT4 came out, so... You know, I definitely played GT3 before that, but I don't remember if it was GT1 or GT2 or GT3. I never actually owned GT1. I had a demo disc of GT1 when I was younger. Now I have GT1 on the PS1. But anyway, we are done with the Polyphony Digital Championship. Like, all done. That was 6 hours of driving, by the way. We're about to hit 107 hours in this playthrough. Absolute bonkers. There you go. That was long. That was grueling. But you know what? That felt long, but that wasn't as bad as I had anticipated. I feel like the All Japan GT Championship actually took longer, despite it being a shorter championship. I felt like that dragged on more than this one. Despite these races being, you know, 40 minutes apiece. There you go. What's the final points tally? Perfect sweep for us. Perfect second place sweep for the Z. The Skyline and the Mustang tie on points, but the Skyline wins because I think he got the better position on this race. The Lancer TME with the stripes just narrows out over the white one. Evo 6, and that's that. Another 50 grand in the bag. Yeah. I don't remember that much from when I was like really little. I remember being like I lived in like an old house, and then we moved when I was like 3 years old. But I still remember being in my old house. But you know, I don't remember which video games I was playing at that time. I don't remember when we got a PS2. I mean, the PS2 came out after I was born, but you know, obviously. We had one when I started remembering. Whatever. Let's even get one more replay shot while this is going and just kind of do a post-mortem of this championship. It was long, but I liked driving the RX-7. It was a really good car. Really easy to pick up. And I thought in terms of competitiveness, it was just right. Yeah, we swept the whole championship, but let's be real, I'm better than the AI. Our car was evenly matched. The Z was faster than us in a straight line. But through consistent pit strategies and just genuinely being fast, we were able to make it work. These are some good replay shots though. I like this. I believe this is the last time we ever drive on Tokyo 2. In fact, all the 10 reverse tracks we drove on, I believe that's the last time we'll ever visit those tracks. So, there's that. And then there's some tracks that we went through this championship. I can't tell you exactly which, but we've already said our goodbyes to them. Alright, that's gonna be it for me, I think. We had a good time. So many good replay shots, but I'd be here all day. Alright guys, it has been forever, six and a half hours about, since I've seen this screen. What do we get for Polyphony Digital? Only 400 grand for 6 hours of effort. Not that good of a return on investment, but money's irrelevant at this point. We could buy anything we want in this game. Whatever. All I care about is what is the prize card we're gonna get. By the way, before we go, that is a gorgeous trophy, I will say. I think that's the only time this trophy shows up, and that is a worthy trophy. What's our prize card though? Give me something good. Sad. I already have one of these. Bruh. Okay. I think that was probably the worst prize I could have gotten. It looked like there was a Toyota GT1, a Speed 12, and an F1, and I got none of those. So, oh well. I'm not going to re-roll the prize card. So, it is what it is. I have enough money that I could just buy the prize card straight up, but there's that. Oh well. Let's wash our car and give it an oil change. You did well, RX7. I'm proud of you. Yeah, lame. Especially we already have an Escudo. We got it from the Rally League. Good job, RX7 though. Proud of you. Yep, another Escudo, Pikes Peak, 250,000 credits. Yuck. We did 512 miles in this car. Long Boy Championship. And yeah, pretty cool. 97.7% progress. It still seems like there's a lot, but trust me, there isn't. Only 2 events left in this game. That's the end of this segment. I'm going to save. I am locking in that Escudo prize car. I don't care. I'm not redoing a 40-minute race to try and reroll a prize car. So yeah, it is 12:04. I'm not going to leave right this second, but I'm done with racing. I'll kind of brief what we got left. So it's just these 2 events. Like the Wind, thankfully it's test course, but it is 1 race. So there's that. We'll have to find a car that's good. And then last one is Formula GT. 10 races. Some of these races are going to be shorter, but then there's some long boys. This is the full-length Seattle Endurance, for instance, the 40 laps. This is the full-length Monaco Endurance, in terms of, 78 laps, the real-life Monaco Grand Prix at the end. And then I think most of these races are like 25 laps, which is going to take a long time, especially test course. That's going to be annoying. That's going to drain all my oil. And then we get some long treks too, like Grand Valley, Tokyo, Monaco, obviously. But then we have some shorter ones, like Midfield, Rome, Uniseca. So, it all bounces out. I believe this will take like 7 hours, mostly because of the Monaco Endurance. So it'll probably be another 3 streams. We'll start this at the same time as we start Like the Wind. So I guess while we're here, let's find a car, and I will drive it, in the next stream. So, chat if you're still here, if there's any suggestions of a car you want me to make really fast, because for Like the Wind, we need top speed. And just remember that I have a lot of money, and I could buy cars off memory cards. I have a Speed 12 and a Toyota GT1 on another memory card that I could buy if we were to use that. Personally, I think we should use a supercar. You could use the Escudo, yeah. Everyone likes the Escudo, and everyone likes to do the wheelie with the Escudo. In terms of cars that are viable, can the Diablo 270 miles an hour? We did the Diablo for the Endurance. You know what? Let's machine test it. Let's machine test the Diablo. We can do some machine tests, that's fine. Based. Let's put on upgrades. Let's put on the super sauce because, you know, why not? GT1, yeah. I could get the speed 12. The cutoff is we need to do more than 250. That's the bare minimum. And full disclosure, the only two opponents that will ever hit that are the GT1 race car and the Viper in terms of the AI. Because for some reason, Polyphony forgot to tune the gearboxes of all the AI. So despite them putting all the cars that could go really fast, they, for some reason, forgot to turn the gearbox options on. So only the Viper and the GT1 can get to the speeds they were intended to reach. But it looks like the Diablo would not be good enough. I put on the lowest downforce in a relatively high gear, but you'd think the no downforce would pick this car up, and it doesn't. This would be heavily reliant on slipstream. It might be able to win on slipstream, but I doubt it. Let's put our settings back to where it was. It was 6681. A speed 12 I could definitely make go super fast. And a GT1. Just trying to think what else we could do. Nothing from Honda. The 787V could do 270, but we've driven the 787V plenty. I believe the Skyline we can get to 100 or 1,000 horsepower. Nothing from Subaru. What's the Yes weakling? Maybe the ZZ2? Maybe. The Supra I think can go pretty fast. The Viper GTS can do 260. I don't think anything can Ford from do it. From Germany, the Roof CTR2 I think can go pretty fast. Nothing from France. I believe the Zonda C12S can go pretty fast. You can put 1,000 horsepower. I don't know about the gearbox. We have an XJ220. I don't know if that could do 270 though. The Lotus Esprits can both do 270. And TVR, the Speed 12, could do the task for sure. Speed 12. Definitely the Speed 12. So we have two forms of the R390, by the way, F8. Let me sort by make. We got the R390 road car and the race car. Let me just check what the road car can do. .900 horsepower. Pretty solid. Can it do any other upgrades though? It cannot. The i390 race car could definitely do 260, 270. But we've driven it before. The Vertigo race car, I forgot that one could do the wheelie. What can the ZZ2 do? .910 horsepower. Yeah, we've done the R390 race car and an endurance. The road car we haven't. But the race car, I did it for the Route 11 endurance. 140 miles. The GT1 road car I believe can go pretty fast, but not the same as the race car. The race car I think can do 1300 horsepower. Let's machine test it though. You know what, I saved the game, so we can experiment a bit and blow some money and check it out. Do 1068 horsepower, which is pretty solid. What kind of tires did it give me? Mediums? Okay, sure. Do I need to buy transmission? They don't give you a transmission, that's so weird. But we have one now. You can't do weight reduction, alright. Let's try it. You can't turn down the front downforce. I guess it has none, right? Let's just see what that gives me. This is a beautiful car though, without the liveries, I will say. It looks menacing. It just might be up to the task. 6th gear? Let's see. It's stuck at 231. Alright, you know what? Before we go abandon this, I'm gonna lower the top speed a little bit. This thing like turns so fast. It's ridiculous. Even with like the minimum downforce, it has just so much turn in. This is ridiculously fast. It is only marginally better than Diablo though. With the slipstream it could definitely do 250, but that's just it. It needs a slipstream. It doesn't have the extra punch. And I believe the R390 road car would give me the same results. Look at that. I'm barely sitting at 246. Not really much I can do though. There's no getting around that front downforce. It's hard to think of much else that I could do. I forgot to charge my phone. I'm an idiot. I was supposed to go out in like less than an hour and I forgot to charge. Oops. I just plugged in. I was like, oh, I'll charge it during my stream. Oops. That's going in the plug. Let's see. Yes, I can buy a GT1 race car. I just prefer not to buy one of the AI cars. Here's the thing, F8. There's only 2 AI cars that will go above 250 miles an hour in this event. And it's the GT1 race car and a Viper GTS. So I would prefer to not drive one of those 2 cars. I'd want to try to outrun it in something else. I think we'll drive a speed 12. I have a speed 12, and I know for a fact you can make it go fast. So I think I'm just going to buy a speed 12 off of my other memory card, and we'll just go from there. So I have a speed 12 on my other memory card. So I think I will end the stream with that. So let me get my timer set up. I'm going to have to final time this at some point. But there you go, 107 hours, 19 minutes. That's going to be it for the stream. We'll start like the wind. I'll let you guys know in Discord when we'll pick this back up. We are almost done with the game, guys. We are literally only a couple streams away from finishing this game. It is closer than you think. So, with that being said, thank you guys all for watching. I still don't know if I can play the outro, so I'm going to have to end the stream kind of right here abruptly. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.